Hi, my name's Grant.
And I'm Julia.
We're both MBA students at the Yale School of Management, and we've spent a lot of time thinking about the different challenges that teachers face in trying to drive innovation in the classroom and across their schools. So we've put together a series of skits, which we're going to share with you shortly, to help you think about how we would apply the lessons we've learned this year to your setting.
We know how difficult it is to manage a classroom with limited resources, students from diverse backgrounds, and be able to balance your own personal life at the same time. So we think that these skits and the takeaways that they've given us from the Innovator course would allow you to not only enact change in your classroom, but to be influential on a system level at your public school and perhaps at an even higher level.
We hope they're helpful.
Patricia, I've learned from friends at other schools that their students are excelling in math and reading thanks to the new classroom technologies that they're using.
Ashley, you know we barely have funding for a computer lab, much less for technology in every classroom.
Well, what if we could design a small and inexpensive pilot with a control group from my class to show how these results differ when these solutions are used?
Yeah, Pat, we actually do have some laptops sitting in the supply closet. We could easily get 5 of them.
That would be perfect.
But would it be fair to the other classrooms without the laptops? I'm concerned the other teachers would be upset.
I definitely understand that point, but the benefit of doing a small experiment like this is that it uses our existing resources, so it's cheap, quick, and easy to learn from. Once I collect data over the next quarter or so of how these technologies have impacted my students, I can present it at the next teachers meeting. From there, if the results are positive, we could incorporate it for other teachers and scale it to their classrooms. But if not, we could just brainstorm together with the other teachers to think of other experiments we could try.
Huh, I see. So the other teachers could think of this as a pilot that they could all benefit from in the future. I'm on board.
Great.
Okay.
Pat, do you have a moment? There's some data I'd really like to show you.
Sure. What is it, Ashley?
So I ran a survey among students to see if they regularly had breakfast at home before coming to school. The results are pretty astonishing. It turns out 95% of the students who have gotten an A in my class this year had breakfast regularly at home every morning, but only 50% of the students who had a lower grade had had breakfast in the morning. So I believe this study really proves that meals are important not just for the health and well-being of our students, but also for their academic progress, which translates into how the school does. We should really push for more funding to be able to provide more of our students with meal assistance for both breakfast and lunch.
Are you really sure it's about the breakfast? I would have thought this might be due to having a parent that spends more time at home to help a child with their homework, other things like that.
I definitely understand that point, but based on the data, it doesn't seem that way. I found students that were hungry were much less attentive and did not participate as much in class, so it's important to challenge those assumptions.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'll definitely take this data to the higher-ups. Thanks for running the survey and bringing it to my attention. I never would have realized that our students were facing these issues, and it's really people like you who are on the front lines of driving change to really bring the school into the next phase.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you, Ashley. Ashley and Ben, thanks for coming in today.
Yeah.
So as you may have heard, the state is adopting some new math standards for our 7th and 8th graders. And it looks like most of these standards were designed with bigger, better funded school districts in mind because they require new textbooks and calculators we just don't have the budget for. So as a result, we're gonna have to look at some other places in the math department to cut for funding.
Well, before we make any budget decisions, let's break down and reframe the issue of new textbooks and calculators that we have on your screen. Instead of buying new textbooks, it looks like we could repurpose old textbooks, or we could use free online materials in order to teach these subjects.
I agree. I know Khan Academy has really good resources and is very popular with students.
I don't know, it's not conventional.
Well, let's just keep this proposal as an idea or a starting point for us to move forward with.
Okay, we can do that. But what about the calculators? This barrier is gonna be really difficult for our district to overcome.
Definitely understand that, but instead of looking at this as an obstacle, let's think of it as an opportunity. There's evidence that shows the best math students are those that can understand the fundamental logic of math rather than plugging and chugging on their calculators. We could cater our lessons to logic, buy a few calculators to teach basic knowledge for state exams, and go from there.
That's an interesting idea. Why don't we all meet again next week and we'll discuss some more.
Great.
Great.